Birth Control (ABC) program, as per the ABC Rules 2001, formulated under the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals Act 1960, which is the only human and scientific solution. 2001, formulated under the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals Act 1960, which is the only human and scientific solution to issues relating to stray dogs and their population management. Street dogs have always been a part and parcel of Indian urban and rural life, like many other developing countries in the world. Many of these animals live in close contact with human beings. In India, for more than 150 years, up to the year 2001, mass killing of street dogs through various forms, including electrocution, shooting, and poisoning, were seen as the only solution by the authorities to address the issue of overpopulation of street dogs and deaths due to rabies. Some sporadic but illegal killings still continue to take place in many parts of India. Much of the research and experiences of internationally reputed organizations such as the World Health Organization (WHO), World Organization for Animal Health (OIE), Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations (FAO), and independent researchers suggest that killing street dogs can have no correlation with the objective of reducing their population or reducing the number of dog bites or deaths caused by rabies. However, as a matter of experience, disputes over dogs are growing day by day, which has become a matter of concern. Unfortunately, fear and ignorance have led many Indian citizens and officials to see street dogs as nothing but a nuisance and to seek eradication using inhuman methods such as poisoning and beating. But for every dog killed, another typically comes in to take over that dog's territory. The only scientific method to humanly reduce street dog population is mass spay and neuters, commonly known as Animal Birth Control (ABC) program, which has been launched after considerable amount of research and after having considered experience of various countries. Team Insights Bharat have reason to believe that disputes are mainly due to lack of awareness. What is ABC program and how it can solve this issue is not known to most of the citizens, and therefore clash happens. In order to make the residents of the society understand the ABC program, how it is useful in dealing with issues have been launched stray after dogs considerable amount of the research and after having that may arise if the said program is not implemented. We, the team of Insights Bharat, have organized this session today as part of our social responsibility with our esteemed guest speaker and an expert on this subject, none other than Ms. Gauri Maulekhi. Towards the end of the session, having an interactive question and answer segment. To engage in today's interactive session, participants may drop the questions in the comment section or live chat, and the same will be taken up during the question and answer round to the extent possible. Now, without further delay, I would like to invite my co-host, Advocate Karan Shelke, to welcome and introduce our honored speaker for today's session.
Thank you, Sneha ma'am. It is an honor for me to introduce our today's esteemed speaker, Ms. Gauri Maulekhi. Ms. Gauri Maulekhi is the trustee of People for Animals, which happens to be India's largest animal welfare organization. She is also the member secretary of People for Animals Uttarakhand, which is the legal and policy wing of its parent organization, People for Animals. Since the year 1994, she has contributed to the field of animal welfare in various capacities such as policy reform, capacity building law enforcement authorities, public awareness, as well as sheltering. Ms. Molekhi serves as a resource person and a trainer for the state police for more than 8 states and has held workshops on animal welfare at National Judicial Academy Bhopal and at various state judicial academies. Through her efforts of seeking prevention of courts, prevention of cruelty to animals, regulation of livestock market rules 2017, and prevention of cruelty animal regulation dog breeding marketing rules 2017, and prevention of cruelty to animals pet shop rules 2018 were notified by the government of India. Ms. Molekhi has been nominated by several state governments to be a member of slaughterhouse monitoring committees, animal birth control implementation, and monitoring committees, etc., which have been constituted in compliance of orders passed by the Honorable Supreme Court of India. She has worked extensively across various states to spread awareness about animal welfare and ethical treatment of animals. She is also a member of Uttarakhand State Animal Welfare Board. Ms. Molekhi was awarded the prestigious Nari Shakti Puraskar 2018 by the President of India for her contribution to the field of animal welfare advocacy. In 2018, she was awarded the Distinguished Alumni Award in the field of animal welfare advocacy by Lucknow University. In 2018, she received the Outstanding Animal Protection Award from the Humane Society at Kansas City, USA. She is also a recipient of the Lush Prize in London for her contribution towards reducing unnecessary use of animals in laboratories. She has worked with various ministries of the government of India and several state governments to formulate and implement policies such as human transportation of animals, human slaughter practices, effective population management, and the protection of wildlife. Ms. Maulekhi has innumerable achievements and contributions to her credit in the field of animal welfare. The team of Insights Bharat feel extremely privileged to have Ms. Maulekhi here with us today. We welcome you, ma'am. Ma'am, since our today's subject is the ABC program, if you could please explain our viewers what exactly is the ABC program and what are the rules which are formulated under the Prevention of Cruelty of Animals Act and under what circumstances it can come into picture. Also, what exactly the legislature wanted to achieve by introducing the ABC rules. Over to you, ma'am. Ma'am, kindly.
Participants, I'm sure, your all your participants, I'm sure, want to know how they can protect animals better, and no better place to start than the animals that are right there in the streets in front of our homes and offices, and who have nobody to look after them, feed them, and a lot of people, want to help them, but they are either prevented by their neighbors or prevented by their resident welfare associations, or sometimes there's opposition from every other quarter. So today, let's see quickly in the next 15 minutes what are the laws, and after that we can make it more interactive by taking a lot of questions, as many as we can during this short webinar. We'll take as many questions and solve people's problems, at least guide them towards a solution so that they're able to help animals better. So, first of all, we have the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals Act, which was made in 1960. And this act basically allows, any such person to be punished who's been cruel to animals in any manner, whether it's beating or kicking or killing an animal, or trying to starve an animal, keep it on a very short leash, not giving it enough exercise. All this is violation of section 11 and section 3 of the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals Act. Once the act was notified in 1960, it was felt that certain segments of animal protection require more explanation, require detailed rules. So in 2001, when Mrs. Maneka Gandhi was Environment Minister, the government of India came up with something called the Animal Birth Control Rules. Now, these were not imagined by anybody. These rules were made on the basis of a report which came out which was published by the World Health Organization. Now, I'll give you a little background of this. When the Britishers used to rule our country, at that time, what did we do with the street dogs? Everybody killed them, isn't it? The municipal work was basically about killing dogs and killing rats and killing cats and all kinds of animals. They would put out poison, and then all the dogs would suffer really badly and die. There was no law to prevent this, and everybody was free to do it. But did that solve the problem? Did that eradicate dogs from the country? No. Was our country the only one suffering from a population of population? No. They're all developing countries have a population of scavenging animals because we have a very bad urban solid waste disposal system. So if there is protein lying in our heaps of garbage, protein is any food which may not be edible by us but is still edible by other scavengers. So long as our urban solid waste system is not robust, then we will have scavenging animals. If you kill all the dogs today, there will be millions of rats and mice tomorrow, which are a more inconvenient species than dogs. Or if you kill all the rats also somehow magically, then you would have cockroaches. So what all are you going to go on killing? So World Health Organization came up with a strategy and said that killing has historically never led to a result, never given sustainable solutions, and hence killing is actually counterproductive. So what happens is, I'm going to first, in short, tell you about the science of it. uh, Animals don't reproduce like human beings. Human beings have a capacity to reproduce as much as they want, but animals reproduce only as much as there is food in the environment. So, if there is a lot of food in the environment, or maybe the dogs would have larger litter sizes, their capacity to, their life expectancy would be a lot longer. But if there is less food, if there's no garbage, they would perhaps not be as prolific in their multiplication. So, in order to stop their multiplication altogether, the animal birth control needs to be done, these surgeries need to be done. And this is why the Indian Parliament adopted the Animal Birth Control Rules 2001. Here in these rules, these are very simple rules, they're written in baby language. So anybody who is an activist and wants to help animals can please just Google Animal Birth Control Rules 2001. You will find it on any platform. You can look at the AWBI website, there you will find it. And you can easily read it and understand it. Basically, it says that the local bodies, every local body, and what is a local body? Municipal corporation or a municipality, or any urban local body or a rural local body, has a mandate to establish animal birth control centers, to equip them, to provide them with vehicles and manpower, so that surgeries of these dogs can happen, and in what manner they are to happen. The procedure is also laid down. If there is a dog that is suspected rabies, how to deal with that dog is in detail laid down. It has to be kept for 10 days of observation in the animal birth control center. And, if it dies of rabies, then that's it. And if it is, survived the 10 days, then obviously it's not suffering from rabies and it can be neutered and vaccinated and let go. So these rules are very, very simple. And all it requires is that for the local body to create an ABC center. What is an ABC center? It requires an operation theater, post-operative kennels, it requires a doctor's room, maybe a medicine room, and a couple of toilets, just a hospital-like situation. Because this is a surgery, it's not like cataract of eyes that you go and get it done and be released the same day. The stomach of the female is cut open and the uterus and the ovaries are extracted. In a male, the testicles are extracted. All this is under general anesthesia. So it cannot be done under a tin shed or under, a tarpaulin. It has to be a proper hospital. Now, a lot of times the municipal corporations are confused how to make it, and they don't have animal expertise and this and that. So further, when the matter was going on in the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court asked the Animal Welfare Board of India to come up with a module, a detailed module, an SP, that was also made. It's also available online. But if anybody wants it, I'm going to leave it with the two of you, and you can mail it to anybody who's watching this and wants to have a copy of the revised module, which has the entire SOP, also has an implementation framework in chapter 6. So just it has all the details, what all methods of surgeries are allowed or not, what kind of infrastructure is required, what kind of catching techniques are allowed or not allowed. Hand catching is allowed, net catching is allowed, but catching with a lasso or a loop is not allowed. Stuff like that. Catching in any cruel manner is not allowed. Earlier, we used to see a lot of dirty catching with poles and all kinds of nooses at the end of poles, where a lot of dogs used to get injured and even strangulated and die. So all those cruel methods are not allowed. And the SOP is very detailed. So if you want to go into further detail, please get the revised module. So we've now covered a 3-step situation. First, your PCA Act, your Prevention of Cruelty to Animals Act, which disallows kicking, beating, any kind of torturing of an animal. Second, you come to the animal birth control rules, where the rules are very simple, very short, and anybody can read it in 5 minutes. You only have to Google for animal birth control rules. Third, you have the module, which is a detailed SOP. Anybody who wants to start an animal birth control program in their city, or wants to check up on an animal birth control program in the city, because a lot of people have problems. They say that the ABC going on in my city is very cruel. It's not, something is not right with it, but I don't know what's wrong with it. So you will know what's wrong with it if you read the revised module, which we will make available through this platform. Also, one more thing, a lot of RWAs generally say, especially the fancy ones, the very, very upmarket ones, a lot of rich people stay, they say, kutton ko hatao, all the dogs need to be removed. We live in such a fancy place. We don't want dogs in our area. And anybody who's feeding dogs is just not okay. So we are going to disallow dogs, and we are not going to, we just want them removed. And they think that removing dogs will get them rid of dogs. These people should just move into some other countries where the solid waste disposal system is very good, because if you remove dogs from an area, and these dogs were, if they were sterilized and vaccinated and they were acclimatized to that area and they were friendly with those people, and if you remove them, then new dogs will come in, because India has 4 crore dogs. You cannot escape them. Other dogs will come inside, and you never know. They will be unvaccinated, they would be unsterilized, people would not be friendly with them, nobody would be able to catch them for neutering and spaying. So you're going to just escalate the problem by removing the dogs. Moreover, removing dogs from an area is illegal as per the animal birth control rules, and also as per the Supreme Court's order. Supreme Court has specifically stated that all these innovative methods of getting rid of dogs cannot be, executed by anybody, neither any person nor any local body. Nobody can start removing dogs or anything. In fact, what I'm going to do is, there's a whole compilation of all kinds of orders, and the Supreme Court orders, there are certain magistrates orders, there are the rules are there, the district magistrates orders. We made a compilation of all of that, and I'll send you a combined email of everything so that you can pass it on to whoever would like to use it for the protection of animals.
Yes, ma'am.
So this is basically the gist of it. And now let's look at some questions so that I can give you situation-specific examples. You're mute.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. When people think about ABC program, the first question that most of the people have in their mind is that some people are of the view that stopping the natural birth cycle of animals by forcefully sterilizing them is also a kind of cruelty upon them. The question that they have is that what is the need for controlling the birth of animals and stopping their natural birth cycle forcefully? They start equating this with increasing population of humans and see it as unnecessary cruelty on animals. Ma'am, what are your views on this?
There's nothing natural about dogs on the streets. Nothing natural. We have interfered with the natural order so much that we have turned wolves into dogs. And now these dogs are proliferating on the absolutely unnatural garbage that we have spread in our cities. This is not natural, and neutering them is not cruel at all. In fact, even if it makes the dog go through some pain and some inconvenience, it is much less compared to the humongous amount of cruelty that happens to litters upon litters of puppies that are born on the road, and then they get crushed by cars or hit by people or driven out by societies. There's every reason to believe and to know that neutering animals is actually the most ethical way forward, because, like I said, there's nothing natural about dogs on the streets. They should not be there, and they are there because we are a filthy race of people. We're just a species that is very messy, and we've made our cities and our habitations into very messy places, which is why these poor creatures are, they are living a life of really, really humongous cruelty. Imagine yourself, or anybody, or anybody who's watching should imagine themselves as living on the road, not knowing where the next meal is coming from, just getting, kicked from every side, and nobody to complain to. At least being a human, we can at least open our mouths and say that it hurts. These poor creatures can't even do that. So there's no reason in making them multiply. There's nothing natural about or any maternal justification. There's just none. They just need to be neutered effectively and in a massive manner, so that the few dogs that are remaining should be adopted by people, kept in homes. They deserve a family. They deserve people to look after them. So that's how it goes.
Ma'am, in the matter of Animal Welfare Board of India versus A. Nagaraja and others, the Honorable Supreme Court recognized 5 freedoms of animals, which includes freedom to express normal patterns of behavior. Giving birth is a natural cycle, which is normal pattern of behavior. So, ma'am, how do you see this, and how do you advocate sterilization under ABC program in view of this particular judgment?
See, the law is now in place. Under the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals Act, the law has been framed for neutering of animals. So ideally, the debate ends there because the rules have been notified and they are in force. Moreover, control of dog population is an exemption in Section 11, subsection 3. So if the dog population has to be controlled, and actually a reasonable method has been prescribed in the rules for controlling the dog population, then you cannot say, oh, but the dog requires to have, a litter every 6 months in order to feel natural enough. So there's just no justification of that, neither in welfare nor in ethics or in law.
Okay, so ma'am, we have a viewer question. So, Riktanjali asks, role of the society members, chairman of the society, municipal corporation, etc., with respect to ABC program.
Societies are made for colonies, or for groups of flats to look after their little local issues, and societies are registered under the Societies Registration Act of India. Now every society needs to make its bylaws. These bylaws cannot be overruling or in repugnance with the law of the land which stands. So if the parliament has made a certain law, the society cannot make a law which is anything other than in furtherance of the same law of the land. So if the ABC rules exist, then the society's bylaws should either complement them and talk about how the society resolves to ensure that animal birth control takes place in and around their society, or be quiet about it. But they cannot go against the law of the land and declare, because a society is not an independent country with a constitution of its own. No? It is within the boundaries and the jurisdiction of India. So it has to follow the Indian laws. They cannot say that, okay, here's our constitution, here's our bylaw, and if I am the president and I'm making a notice that all kuttas will be out of the society. No, that's not possible. And there's enough citation there. There is enough case law there. The compilation that I will send you will have some orders which can be used against any society president or secretary who wants to make bylaws. They're very fond of making bylaws. They say, "Humne to bylaw bana diya hai. Now all pet owners will have to pay this much money. All that is nonsense. How can you penalize? I mean, tomorrow they might say, only young people are going to stay in our society. All old people will have to be thrown out. So there's no justification. Like I said, a society is not an independent country. It is within the jurisdiction of India. They will have to follow the Indian laws. They will have to follow the pronouncements of the Supreme Court. So their role and their duties are as much as any other Indian citizens under Article 51 AG of the Indian Constitution.
As you rightly said, that society cannot make their own laws. But in reality, we see that the people who are compassionate towards animals or stray dogs and are feeding them, society people and chairmen and people who are against feeding stray dogs, they corner them and they pressurize them to stop feeding them or stop taking care of them. So, what can such animal lovers can do about that?
Okay, so a lot of times so a lot of times people are harassed. Now, I wouldn't immediately give the advice of saying, "Oh, run to the police station and get everybody arrested." It doesn't work like that. So, I mean, after all, people have to stay there, and a, a good practice is to be a good neighbor. So sometimes. For instance, I'll give you an example. I used to live in a colony in Dehradun, and I had 6 dogs in my house, and I used to feed some dogs outside, and my 6 dogs were a pain in the neck for everybody because being the only person in the house, whenever I stepped out of the house, the dogs would just start howling, even though they were fed, and I tried everything, right from keeping the radio on and the TV on and maybe recording my own voice also and leaving. But the minute I would start from the house, the minute I'm out the gate, they would all howl like wolves, like that disgusting sound, which sounds very good to us, but is not very pleasant for people around the house. So, with all that happening, there was a lot of opposition. And sometimes people would come, they would ring the bell and say, your dogs are so noisy, this is not okay. And, there are about 15 dogs sitting outside your house. This is very disturbing for all of us. So it would have been very easy for me to file an FIR and say, oh, isne mujhe intimidate kiya and whatever. But rather than doing that and rather than picking a fight, one fine day I just saw everybody in a good mood standing somewhere outside, and I went and I said, Namaste, I'm so sorry, you're bothered, but these animals have been rescued. They had really bad lives, and I'm so grateful for your patience with them, even though it might be a disturbance, but you've been so kind to at least support me and whatever. Even though they didn't, give people the credit, show people the good side, the good side that we show to animals, we should show it to people also, and say, whatever, just make up things and be nice to them and try to diffuse the tension. Not when people are shouting, us samay koi nahi sunta, but at an opportune time, find an excuse to just, diffuse the tension, show them that, look at this picture, it came with a maggot wound, I couldn't leave it there, had this problem. Now even I'm bothered sometimes, but tell me, is it human? Now what to do? I have to make sure that it doesn't suffer more, and I'm just doing my duty as a good citizen. I'm not even asking anybody for it. We're not even government funded. We're just doing it for our own, this thing. And it's just some blessings that you will get if you just be a little more patient with it. Some good things you say, and I have seen it 80% times, people just melt. If somebody is more vicious, if somebody has hurt an animal, then there is no scope for conversation. If somebody has taken a danda and marrowed some dog, or has done anything more vicious which is inexcusable, then it's nicer to just take the matter as per law and file an FIR in the nearest police station. इन दोनों के बीच का भी एक रास्ता होता है. Sometimes आपके बताने से कोई नहीं सुन रहा. FIR करने के लिए the police says, oh, but the section is non-cognizable and there is no, grounds made under section 429 of IPC, as in the dog is not hurt in anything. So we're not going to file an FIR. In that case, I used to just speak to the SHO that, see, this is becoming a law and order situation in our society. And it's, these people are really threatening to do something. Tomorrow, if something more happens, then you'll have to file an FIR. It's going to become a bigger case. Why don't you call them and just explain it to them, the law? And then if they stop doing it, the matter will diffuse. Again, if somebody gets called by the police, even then there is no FIR. I've seen in about 15% remaining matters wo bhi nipat jate hain. So in about 5 out of 100 cases, you need to go to the police. But when you go, for an FIR. So in 500, in 5 out of these 100 matters, you need to use the section 429 of Indian Penal Code, and you have to use section 11 of the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals Act. Section 11(1)(n) is cognizable. Please remember that. Killing of an animal in case the animal has died. Then do not leave anything unturned, no stone unturned. Get CCTV footage, get the post-mortem of the dog done through a government vet. Because if there is no post-mortem, then the trial will be basically nothing. The accused will go scot-free. So just like there is a medical legal case, if I meet with an accident, I would have to be taken to a government hospital to get my medical done. Or if somebody dies, the postmortem is only done in a government hospital. Same way, in a vetro-legal case, like in a veterinary legal case, the medical is to be done by a government veterinarian, and even the postmortem, in case where postmortem is required to be done, should be done by a government veterinarian. He will do it at the request of the police. So once your FIR is being registered, the police will write a small note to the government veterinarian. Then you need to facilitate the postmortem or the medical to be done. So that's how you go about it if there is resistance from your society.
I love your enthusiasm about animals, and I would really love to meet your all 6 dogs. So we have a question here, like how to identify that a particular dog is sterilized or not. Like if a passerby wants to know, like if that female dog is sterilized or not, like how do you determine it?
There's a V-shaped cut on one of the ears of the dog, because that's, like I said, I told you about the module, the detailed SOP, the revised module of dog population management, which I'm going to send you. That prescribes that every dog that gets neutered should have a V-shaped cut on the ear. Sometimes some agencies just make one, straight cut. The ear would be cut. One of the ears would be cut. That's how you identify that the dog is neutered or not.
Ma'am, we have come across many complaints that the method of catching the dogs of municipal corporation or ABC centers is very cruel, inhuman. So, what measures do you suggest for solving this issue?
Yeah. So, like I said, hand catching is the best. Like there's several equipment available, but the best agencies working in India actually proclaim that the best equipment that they could find is a biscuit. You make friends with the dog and you'll be able to catch it very quickly. You may have to feed it for 2-3 days, which is why feeders are such an important part of the ABC program. Feeders are important because if you're feeding animals every day, it's that much easier for you to catch them. Like I belong to Uttarakhand, so in Dehradun, it's still easy to catch dogs, but places like Mussoorie, where the dogs are half wild, half domesticated, they just run up in the hills. It's impossible to catch them unless you have to go around looking for a feeder. That who is the feeder of these animals? Because only the feeder can catch them. Nobody else can catch them. So feeders are really important because some dogs are uncatchable. So the biscuit is the best equipment. For most of the good ABC programs, for instance, in Lucknow, The ABC program goes on, but there's a 120 feeders ka WhatsApp group who know their sub feeders in the other areas in all the zones. And the ABC agency, whenever they are going out, they first tell in the group that this is the zone in which we'll be catching. So all the feeders, come to assist in catching. That's the best way of catching dogs, hand catching. Just godi mein utha liya and ho gaya. For some dogs who don't trust humans as much, the butterfly net is very effective. So butterfly net is available with several organizations sell it, or equipment manufacturers sell it. You can buy it from anywhere. Sometimes maggot dogs also who keep running, any dog that has a maggot wound, poor thing, it just keeps running, tries to leave the pain behind, it seems. It's very difficult to catch them, even for people who know the dogs well. So butterfly net is very effective in catching such dogs. Otherwise, sack and loop method is a good method, which is approved in the SOP also. But sack and loop method requires some technical training. ऐसे ही अगर मुझे कोई एक बोरा और एक रस्सी दे दे तो I can't catch them because I'm not trained in doing that. So only trained people can catch with the sack and loop method. Otherwise, I would say for new organizations and generally for an organization to catch dogs, the biscuit and hand method is the best. And definitely, if the method is looking cruel, if the municipal corporation is catching with a pole with a noose at the end of it, that is cruelty. You can put your foot down and say this should not be allowed, make a video of it, show it to the mayor, 15 people go to the municipal commissioner and say this is not going to be allowed in our town, in our city. We are not barbarians living in medieval times. We will not tolerate this kind of inhuman activity on our streets, and please stop this right now and throw these people out. Otherwise, train them, and we'll train them. We'll teach them how to take responsibility. It's very easy to point fingers and say, "Ye theek nahi hai, wo theek nahi hai." But actually, to take responsibility and say, we are going to train your people now. Go to the mayor and say, we are going to train your people, we are going to teach them, but you need to promise that you need to come up with an order that this kind of catching would be disallowed. So I think that's a good way forward, and that would be acceptable to most municipal corporations. Just shouting, screaming, giving press releases doesn't really help. Go with a solution to the corporation. Say, aise nahi, aise karte hain. That would help.
Right.
Like normally feeders are very much frowned upon by society. Like they'd say, like, why do you feed the dog? You're not supposed. And this is the first time that I came to know that there exists a WhatsApp group of feeders. So that was very surprising for me. So my next question is, like, if someone sees that ABC center is not working properly, so what is the report mechanism? How can you report that ABC center is not functioning properly? The guidelines are not being followed. What is the complaint? How do you launch a complaint, and how the mechanism gets solved?
So first, you need to know the guidelines very well, because if you make a half-baked complaint, nobody will take you seriously. A lot of people write two-liners. हमारे यहाँ अच्छा नहीं चल रहा है ABC or something like that. You can't do anything with that complaint because there's no specifics in that, and you will be able to point out specifics in your complaint only if you know what the specifics are, which are not being followed. So first, if you want to check your ABC center in your town or city, please read every document in the email that I'm going to share with you, a compilation of all the relevant documents. Once you've read it, then you are now taiyar for checking any ABC center. You can, visit it like a volunteer or anything, observe, make, evidentiary videos or photographs or something, and make a complaint to the Animal Welfare Board of India, because they are the ones who need to register all the animal birth control organizations. If you read the ABC rules, it says that animal birth control can be carried out only by an organization which is registered with the Animal Welfare Board of India. So if you inform the AWBI that this so and so ABC center is not functioning all right, then they will take action. Moreover, you can give the same complaint to the corporation or municipality, whichever is running the place or funding the place. You can give a complaint to them as well. And then any complaint given to the government actually functions best if there is a pressure group. Now, what happens is even municipal corporations ignore complaints from welfare groups because the resident welfare associations and the people who hate dogs and the people who want them dead come in like huge numbers to the corporation office, and they are the ones who are making a lot of halla gulla. So, but वो बेचारा एक फीडर 4 लाइन की कंप्लेंट लिख के चुप हो जाता है. So who's going to bother about him? So it's always nicer to make WhatsApp groups of all your feeders in your city. Try and unite, try and raise your voice or put your case forward in a civilized, proper, nice manner, in a legal manner before the municipal corporation in a united way. When the mayor sees, I mean, mayor is a political head of the corporation, the municipal commissioner is a bureaucratic head of the corporation. So, a bureaucrat would be interested in the law that you will point out, and mayor would be interested in the number of people who are coming. So if there's one or two people, it's like 20 लोग तो RWA से आए थे. There are more votes over there. So why should I bother about this one person who's saying some Supreme Court whatever? I'm a politician. I don't care. But a corporation person would value your representation in your report if it is nicely drafted, if it has all the necessary material, if it has the Supreme Court order attached to it, if it has the evidentiary value that here your corporation, your ABC center does not even have shadowless lights over the operation table. The operating table is not clean. The medicines are not adequately kept, or the surgical sets are not enough, or the kennels are not ventilated properly, or the flooring is not all right in the post-operative kennels, or the people working over there are handling dogs in a cruel or unhygienic manner, something like that. Whatever is the problem, or that the dogs being discharged from the ABC center are being observed with open wounds and broken sutures, or whatever is the the shortcoming in the ABC center needs first to be made a proper report of. Once you've made a report, then you can go to AWBI, you can go to the corporation. And if the corporation does nothing about your report, you can file an RTI using 10 rupees and ask them, please provide me with all the documents related to any action taken on my complaint. Then they will start doing something on it.
Perfect solution, ma'am.
Yeah.
Many viewers want to know, ma'am, that how does ABC centers function as a whole, and also in terms of maintaining records, etc. From where does the funds come for ABC centers? Is it a government organization which carries out ABC program, or it is a private organization?
So there are animal welfare organizations who conduct the animal birth control program anyway without any money from the government. But there are some places where the government gives a certain amount of money per dog. And the idea is that when the uterus and the ovaries of the female are removed, or when the testicles of a male are removed, they are kept in a jar full of formalin. Formalin is a preserver basically of these organs. And once in a while, once in a week or month, the municipal corporation team comes with veterinarians and they count the organs. And based on that, they give a certificate so many dogs have been neutered. And thereafter, per dog ke hisab se, the payment is made to the animal welfare organization. Generally, the payment ranges from 800 to 1200 rupees. But in many places, no payment is made and the animal welfare organization does it themselves. However, if all protocols are followed as per the SOP, if everything is done, then the minimum amount spent on a dog would absolutely exceed 1500. So NGOs do spend from their pocket as well, no matter how much the government is paying.
So, ma'am, if somebody finds that ABC centers are not taking care of dogs properly, or like something is not right with it, then if they complain to the board, what action can board take against ABC centers?
The board can de-recognize them. If the organization is not recognized anyway, a lot of organizations are not recognized and they're doing animal birth control. That is against the ABC rules, because the ABC rules say that you have to be recognized before you start doing these surgeries. So if you're not recognized, then also the board needs to be informed, so that the board can write to the municipal corporation that you're flouting the law. Or if the organization is recognized, the Animal Welfare Board of India can consider de-recognizing them after conducting their own inquiry as well. And just remove them from doing further damage. If there is very cruelty, then maybe an FIR can also be initiated.
So can any monetary penalties be imposed on them?
No, there's no such provision in the Act. One more thing that the rules provide for is a monitoring committee to be made at the level of the local bodies. So the corporation or the municipality or whatever needs to have an animal birth control monitoring committee in which some NGOs can be made part. So whoever is a feeder should go, as a group to the mayor or the municipal commissioner and ask them to constitute a monitoring committee and try to become a part of it. Because if you're part of it, then you can make sure that it's running nicely and that the work is happening properly. And if whatever the shortcomings are, you can discuss it in the monitoring committee and try to implement them nicely. But you can't be of any use if you have not read everything. If you don't know your revised guidelines, your module, and you don't know the ABC rules, you don't know, the solutions to problems, then the government will not value you. You have to know the solutions. You can't just say, this is not right, ऐसे नहीं होना चाहिए, मगर कैसे होना चाहिए ये नहीं बताएंगे, तो कुछ नहीं चलेगा.
So, ma'am, the offender can offender be prosecuted under PC Act 1960?
Sure, of course. You can either file a non-cognizable report, an NCR with the police station if there has been violation and if there is evidence, or you can put a complaint case straight before the magistrate. Both cases, the offender can be prosecuted.
Oh.
It's a criminal act and it's a violation of Section 38, because Section 38 is the section under which the rules are notified. Hence, the Section 38 will apply. Violation. The penalties are also in Section 38.
Ma'am, from your experience, how often do corporations release funds for the ABC programs?
Where there are, okay, now if you read the Supreme Court order in SLP 691 of 2009, dated 4/10/2016, which will be in the compilation that we'll send you, that order states that every state also requires to have a state animal birth control monitoring committee headed by the urban development secretary. So, and there also a few animal welfare people can actually seek to be members. So, like I'm member of several states animal birth control monitoring committees. There, the state government needs to create a budget head. So we've got, for instance, in Uttarakhand and in UP, and now even in Jammu and Kashmir, we're creating a budget for animal birth control. Once a budget is created at the state level, then the corporation will also create a budget for it. Once a budget is created, then the money will come. It's not like my daddy's pocket money thing, no? Ki bas de diya to de diya. There has to be, in government, there has to be a budget created first. Because they have to create that purse. Once a purse is created, then money will come inside it. From there, the proposals have to go up and down. It's a whole process, because you can't ask the government for grants. The corporation will not give grants. The corporation will make payments, and those payments have to be in lieu of services. Those services have to be hired after a process of tendering, and that tendering has to be in two manners. One is a technical bid and a financial bid. So the technical bid has to have the minimum requirements, for any implementing agency, which is That needs to be an animal welfare organization, must be registered with the Animal Welfare Board of India, must have experience in this, that, or whatever, must have trained veterinarians, must have trained handlers. All that is a technical bit. If you qualify on that, then you come to a financial bit. If the corporation hires the organization to do this work, then they will make the payment from that purse that they have created. But that budget, that purse needs to be created. So if it's not created in your corporation, and if you're just saying ABC karo, then it's going to lead to nowhere. So first you have to ask them to create a budget, to create infrastructure, then get an organization, and then start the animal birth control. Don't jump to, the letter Z before you've done the whole alphabet.
Um,
My
um, I have a question from a viewer in three parts. So I'll just um, one by one. He says, I'm a resident of a society in Thane, Maharashtra. Ours is a society of 320 apartments. There are 8 stray dogs within the society premises. All are 3 to 5 years of age. There are 4 out of these 8 dogs who have been biting society members and vendors, and there have been almost 70 such biting cases in the last 10 months. We definitely can't displace dogs, but what is the solution that could be offered to reduce the biting cases to nil? All dogs have been neutralized and vaccinated.
Not neutralized, neutered. Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay. Now, dogs bite for specific reasons. They are not, dogs are not biting machines. कि कुत्ता है तो काटेगा ही. ऐसा नहीं होता है. You know, dogs bite for specific reasons. Females bite because they are protecting their litters. They want to protect their babies, like any mother would protect the babies. Males bite sometimes when the female is on heat and they're all competing for mating with her. There are some situations where a dog has been bitten, dog has been hit by humans, and aate jate people have been throwing stones at it. Then they develop a biting tendency. Again, I'll give you a personal example. If you perhaps go to Connaught Place in New Delhi, then you will find all these fat lump of dogs, huge big, they're like bolsters. They're just lying down on the walkway, and they refuse to get up. Also, people have to jump over them to walk. Or if you go to Khan Market in Delhi, there's such fat dogs wearing coats in winters, and they have bands and whatever. They just don't bother about humans at all because they're so friendly. They're so friendly. People have been good to them. That's why they are good back to humans. They never bite humans. However, I spent a lot of my time in Kerala doing a lot of work. In fact, I used to spend months on end in Kerala. I was never in Kerala, any district, able to touch even a single street dog. Why? Because the minute they would see humans, they would either come to bite so that you run away or they will run away. But they have their experiences are so bad with humans because every time people see a dog, they just pick up something to hit it. So the dog develops, it's a acquired behavior that humans are enemies. The minute you teach that to a dog, it becomes very difficult. Neutered dog has testosterone taken away from it. It's not defending its territory. It's not defending its babies. It's not defending, competing for mating. So why is it biting? It's biting because people have been bad to it. If only, some amount of conditioning can be done, an animal behaviorist can be called, and some basic tricks of, subah if somebody can start feeding them, they'll start feeling better about humans, and that'll make everybody's life a lot easier. In fact, you can designate feeding spots in the society, and at designated feeding spots which are away from children's playgrounds, which are away from clubhouses, people can at designated spots just go and feed these animals. They will feel good about humans. Believe it or not, that's just a behavior problem, and it can be very easily corrected. The dog will be so surprised कि ये जो मुझे देख के भाग जाते थे वो खाना लेके क्यों आए.
Ma'am,
But if it's a habitually biting dog, then it can certainly be sent to an animal um, birth control center for 10 days observation. I've seen that थोड़ा सा जेल में 10 दिन बंद होके ना इनका थोड़ा सा behavior slightly improve हो जाता है, and then they come back and then they are better. But any aggression shown to street dogs will be retaliated by an equal amount of aggression. So getting aggressive or nasty with street animals will only increase the problems for us. Being good to them, feeding them from time to time, is something that keeps the entire place much more friendly. I'll give you an example here in Dwarka, some couple of years ago now. Um, there was a colony with a lot of dogs, and people used to object to dogs and whatever. But reh rahe the to reh rahe the. And one fine day, it was found that 15 dogs had been poisoned and killed. And it was just a blame game. Everybody was blaming everybody else, and the people who didn't want the dogs around were actually very happy कि मर गए छुट्टी हो गई. But what happened was that the following night there was a big dacoity in the society, and a lot of houses were robbed. So and then police put two and two together that they killed the dogs so that the dogs don't bark. So if you keep friendly dogs in your societies, if you are good to them, if they are neutered and vaccinated, they will be excellent watchdogs. They will be an asset to the society. They will be protecting your homes. They will basically, more than any mechanical alarm clocks or buzzer systems that you might have, they will be the guards of our homes, like they have always been as man's best friends.
definitely, ma'am. Now I know the reason why you have six dogs. Okay, so now I know why you have six dogs.
But now I have more than 100, so that's all right.
That's better. Okay, so ma'am, I came across a WTO report which said that almost 20,000 people are killed because of rabies, because of the stray dogs that bite them. Now, do you think there should be a national policy with respect to the vaccination?
The
So these
policy is there. The module that I have been talking about is basically called Revised Module for Dog Population Management and Rabies Eradication. That is the full name of the module. And based on that, the mission rabies and everything else carries on, and of the government of India. And that is the only, in fact, WHO did not make that report in the year 2000 because they really like dogs and they were all dog lovers. They made it because rabies had to be eradicated. So the dog population management and animal birth control program came into being because of rabies management. Because this is the only method of controlling rabies and nothing else works. So killing them or removing them will actually make the rabies situation much worse. In fact, the first city to be rabies free in India was Chennai, where 100% dogs were sterilized. Now it's another thing that the city corporation area has been expanded, and lots of other buffer areas have also been included in the corporation area, where some unneutered dogs are also there. But Jaipur again, more than 70% dogs were neutered, the city was declared rabies free. So that's in order to control rabies, you need to control dog population. The only thing you can do is vaccinate, neuter.
So, ma'am, next question is from one of the viewer. She's seeking guidance from you on one particular issue. She asked, also I have initiated the project Possible PAW7 in Ayodhya, where we are continuously working for the welfare of strays. We do not have a good surgeon in the city. Also, one of the vets from the government hospital received the ABC application approached me if I can do something about the ABC policy. He suggested me to contact private vets and Nagar Nigam for financial help. I have no idea who will help me for their sterilization. Please guide me. Whom can I contact for the help?
Like I said, you require an animal welfare organization to conduct the program. It's not just if it has to be for random street dogs across the city. But Ayodhya, I believe, is a municipal is a Nagar Nigam. It's a corporation. So they will first need to build infrastructure if a high throughput program has to carry on. If it's just 10, 15 dogs in a certain colony that she's looking at, any private vet can conduct it who has some training in such surgeries. But otherwise, first the infrastructure has to be made. For which a monitoring committee first has to be constituted, and then the monitoring committee has to push for a budget and infrastructure, and then maybe a tender has to be floated for an agency to apply and come in. A good model to be followed would be in Lucknow, because Ayodhya is in the same state. So Lucknow model can be copied, and I'd be happy to share that with you.
Ma'am, we have a viewer question. So, can street dogs be neutered by individuals, and can it be done? And what is the
It depends. If you get it done from an animal birth control center, it should cost you nothing. If it's run by the municipal corporation, if you want to take it to a private vet, it can cost from anything between 2,000 to 15,000, depending on what kind of hospital you're going to.
okay, ma'am?
Even if you get one dog neutered, you change the world for that one dog, because then it gets more healthy, puts on a little bit of weight, doesn't have to chase females or protect babies. So the life of that one dog becomes so much better once you neuter it.
So, next question, one of the viewer asked that can I take one of my strays for sterilization on the 18th day of her heating cycle, and she was on heat and being mated too.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, if the pregnancy is not confirmed, you can absolutely go and get it neutered.
Okay. So, ma'am, there are many requests for you rather than questions. If you permit, I will pass on the request to you.
Why don't you just put them all on an email now and send it to me? And then I'll
Yes.
reply likewise. And one consolidated email of compilation of all orders, like I promised, I'm going to send you. And then you can give it to whoever requires it.
Okay.
That will be very helpful for a lot of people, because sort of it's not enough to love animals. You have to know how to help them. And unless you read, you will not be able to be effective. Certainly not with the government. If you would require a municipal commissioner to do something, then you need to know your laws. Otherwise, nobody will take you seriously, and you will just be one crazy person who just likes animals a lot.
So, due to the paucity of time, we'll take rest of the questions through email, and we can reply them as per ma'am's compilation of orders and SOPs.
Yes, we'll do that.
Now that we have come to end of today's session, the session was extremely informative and insightful. We thank you, ma'am, for conducting such an insightful and informative session for Insights Bharat, and for taking out time from your busy schedule for today's session and supporting Insights Bharat in its initiative to create awareness. I thank you on behalf of entire team of Insights Bharat and its viewers for gracing today's event with your presence and providing your valuable insights on subject of ABC program and educating all of us about it. We hope to have opportunity to seek insights from you again in future on some other important topics.
Thank you, Beta. God bless you, and keep helping whoever you can. Bye-bye.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Viewers can mail us their requirements. We would be sharing the compilation of orders and SOP provided by Maulekhi ma'am. And email ID you can find on our social media handles. Insights Bharat will soon be back again with a session on some other important subject. Till then, stay tuned. For regular updates of upcoming webinars, viewers may follow and subscribe Insights Bharat on its social media handles, links for which are given in the description. See you next time. Jai Hind.
Jai Hind.